Well, thank you for that. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Vish was going to do an extraordinary intro, so I'll have to try and do that on this behalf. So I'll be presenting today. So welcome to this webinar at the NonProfit Cloud. Today's objectives, just here, is to go through a little bit about what the NonProfit Cloud is. NonProfit Cloud is obviously, like a really big product that Salesforce has, and we can't go through absolutely everything. We're primarily concentrating just on the fundraising part, and we're more specific concentrating on how that works with Payments2us as well. We're going to have a look at some of the key fundraising objects and some of their relationships, and we'll describe some of those a little bit in the one above that. We plan to go through a demo, live demo of Payments2us with the NonProfit Cloud, and then of course I have some question and answer time. We'll aim to finish by 12:30 for that. So the first thing is the NonProfit Success Pack versus the NonProfit Cloud. The NonProfit Success Pack was more of an open source application that got installed on top of the Salesforce package, and it was primarily concentrating on turning the standard Salesforce CRM from a business relationship type model, so you have an organization and you have contacts related to that, to one that was more person or contact related. In the business world, if you work at one company, you leave that company and then you move to another company, you really don't have any influence over there, over the second company, so you can't sign checks on your original company, you can't do any influence on there, so it's almost like you're reborn, so you'd set up those contacts twice. Whereas in the NonProfit Success Pack, the aim there is really to map those relationships. If you were a supporter of the organization, you would probably always be a supporter. There's obviously a lot more than just the core relationships. There's programs and grants and all that good stuff as well. With the NonProfit Cloud, what Salesforce has really done is they've started out with a product that is more native to Salesforce. So it's not like an installed package that is installed on top of it. It's actually inside the Salesforce toolset. So it's no longer open source, so you can't see the code. It is built there. So that means things like scalability, robustness, and all that sort of stuff is built there. I will say that if you know the NonProfit Success Pack, you've really got to relearn all your terminology and things like that, because Salesforce has started with a clean slate here inside that. So that's the key thing there. The NonProfit Success Pack data model is completely different. There are, like I say, if you're looking for things, in the old one it was called recurring donations, now it's called gift commitments and things like that. So you do have to do a bit of translation. There is a few things that work completely different, and we'll touch on some of those, things like the roll-up summary fields and things like that on the contact. You don't have those, but you have something new and different in the NonProfit Success Pack. We will touch on the NonProfit Cloud data model a little later on in these slides as well. One of the key differences at the start, and this is more in the relationship to Payments2us, is the NonProfit Success Pack worked on the household model, where it repurposed the account model, like a business account, to be in the household, and then had all of the contacts listed underneath that. With the NonProfit Cloud, we have moved to person accounts, so it's no longer the contact. For those people that aren't familiar with person accounts, they are a joining of an account and contact together. So that thing that I was talking about in the original one, about the relationship of the person being a person, no matter who they work for, that's what this is talking about. It first came to Salesforce person accounts, many years ago, so it's nothing new. It was originally created for the financial institutions, where you know, in a business world, people dealt with an individual for financial advice. They didn't deal with a company and individual after that. So it is a combination of an accountant and contact merged together. So when you're looking at the, you know, the object manager, you'll see on the account field object, there's a whole lot of underscore PC fields, so custom, you know, fields that indicate person accounts. Okay, in the non-profit success pack, the opportunity was repurposed to become donations, and in the new world, we're now dealing with new objects called gift transactions, and as mentioned, for a recurring donation, the gift commitment is like a promise, you know, that for regular monthly donations. There's obviously like a lot of other differences here, but I'm just concentrating on some of the key ones. So we don't really create opportunities anymore. They are created when you are doing things like a traditional Salesforce would use it for, you know, grants and major gifts, as opposed to a donation which you're kind of recording it after somebody's given a donation. An opportunity is now used more for that sales management. So, you know, if you're going for a grant, you would hear about the grant, you decide whether you're going to go for it, you would apply for it, you'd be successful, you'd be not successful, and you'd use those learnings for going for that same grant next year. So if you lost 5 years in a row, you might consider, you know, going through all that paperwork for the 6th year, but if you also won that opportunity 5 years in a row, you probably, you know, go for it for the 6th year. So opportunities are different. Another key one is in the non-profit success pack world, we tended to use campaigns and campaign hierarchies. You might have, you know, an overall campaign for, say, 2024. Then you might have, say, your end of tax year campaign underneath that. And then underneath that, you might have, you know, wave 1, wave 2, or maybe email and direct mail. With the new world, it's kind of like one campaign, but we kind of use source codes, which is another, you know, object or a tab inside Salesforce, and designation codes as well. I think of the, you know, the source code more as, say, like the channel or the segment. So, you know, Facebook or email or wave 1 or wave 2, and designation codes is kind of like, you know, where the funds are going to be allocated to. So it might be, you know, 50% to one area of your business, or maybe sponsoring child 1 or sponsoring child 2. So that's, like I say, it's not a very comprehensive thing, but that's if I had to pick out some of the key things related to fundraising and the difference between the non-profit success pack and the non-profit cloud. That's what I would highlight there. And there is obviously a lot more. One of the questions that's coming up, and I'm sure this is a burning question for a lot of people on this call that are probably using the non-profit success pack, and you've heard about the, you know, the brand spanking shiny new non-profit cloud from Salesforce, is do I need to move from one to the other? The short answer is no. You do not have to, I'm going to sort of upgrade or migrate. You don't have to do that. To actually move from one to the other really involves starting a brand new instance of Salesforce and then moving everything across. But who is it best for? So if you were new to, you know, Salesforce in the non-profit world, you know, the strong focus would be on using non-profit cloud as opposed to non-profit success pack. So some customers have found that they need to migrate from one instance of Salesforce to another instance of Salesforce, and there's many reasons for that. It could be because they're a federated model and they're moving to more of their own individual instance. It could be that basically they've got so much legacy side of things that it's hard for them to do anything and move around, and they often look to migrate to a new Salesforce org anyway. So that could be a good chance to at least evaluate it. Again, it's not a requirement to go to it, but I would certainly strongly consider that if I was in that situation. again, there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of data migration, there's a lot of mapping to be done. So, you've got to evaluate those learnings and, familiarity of the Non-Profit Success Pack. Cool. Now, there is a lot of new functionality that's coming out with the Non-Profit cloud. There's some of it's already available in the Non-Profit Success Pack as well, like program management and accounting subledger. But if you were doing like a major module and a major kind of, implementation, so it was significant, bit of work that you're, getting a Salesforce partner or even your own internal teams to work on, I again would probably at least take the opportunity to go and evaluate whether it's worth migrating. Again, you don't have to, but it's a good chance to have a look at that. Okay, this is just the fundraising module, data model. Now what you'll see here is that we have some new objects right at the very top here, like the gift transaction going all the way across the top. So that is kind of like the key transactional object that's used. I don't think I'll go through absolutely everything in here, but you can kind of see that the data model is quite new, and it is all native. So it's no longer custom objects. These are all built into the standard Salesforce platform. What I've done here is just highlight some of these things. So with Payments2us integration, we are updating the gift transaction object. We are also using outreach source codes. We're linking to campaigns. We'll create gift commitments. We'll create gift schedules, payment instruments, and things like that. And of course, we're using the standard objects that you're familiar with previously, account and contact mixed together to make the person account and campaigns. What happens is that when you maintain some of these extra, by us populating some of those things, the Non-Profit Success Pack automatically populates some of these other objects that have been highlighted here. And then of course, some of the other ones that I haven't touched on here are actually just normal things that you would not really maintain programmatically or through any sort of integration anyway, like account contact relationships and contact profiles and things like that. So those kind of like, end user maintained, as opposed to something that logically makes sense to go through there. Cool. So how have we actually completed this integration? I think anybody using Payments2us is very familiar that we create our custom object called payment transaction. So we still do that, and you might be familiar that the transaction goes through a number of different statuses, like payment complete, receiving complete, matching start, matching complete. And when you have the Non-Profit Cloud installed, we have another couple of statuses there where we do some extra transacting, and they're called non-profit processing, non-profit NPC processing start, NPC processing complete. So what that goes through that status, we have integrated using a Salesforce provide an API, and that way, by using that API, we get the scalability. And if Salesforce changes, from business logic or, corrects things or, whatever, then that would also be applied to that as well. So we're looking at leveraging some tools or some APIs provided by Salesforce to give us that robustness and, hopefully that future compatibility and growth and things like that, without us having to invest in adding some of the other updates that Salesforce may automatically do in the future. So that means we're doing things according to the Salesforce published standards, as opposed to programmatically and directly doing some of these updates ourselves. What that will do is either create, if it's a regular giving, like a monthly giving, then we'll create a gift commitment. If it's a one-off transaction, we'll create a gift transaction. And then if it's a gift commitment, then that goes to gift transaction schedule. Obviously the transaction can be linked to outreach source code, which then links it to a campaign, and you get that. And then we drill down into some of the gift designations and soft credits and things like that. And gift designations, we've kept it at level 1 at the moment. We're just using the defaults. Safe harbor, our plans are to enhance that some more in the future as well. Cool. So I know a lot of you have come here to see a live demo. What I'm going to do here is the scenario that we're setting up today is we've got a donor. Melissa is aware that disadvantaged children face significant barriers to educational attainment due to the lack of resources. So after careful consideration, Melissa has decided, or has been drawn to World Aid and what they're doing, all the great work they're doing, and wants to donate to the Gift to Learning education program. So that's Melissa. Visits the World Aid website. So this is our demo company, fictitious company here, and we'll enter in a donation form. They fill in the form for a donation of $800. That comes into Salesforce. Now, as an internal person of Salesforce, so Melissa has done that, completed that donation. Joseph is a World Aid staff, reviews the donor or the contact details inside Salesforce, and then can review the donation and reconcile that to their finance system. Okay, so without further ado, I am going to go to our World Aid site. If you remember here, we had Melissa. Melissa's been having a look around and looks at the the education program. Really likes what she sees in there. And she goes, you know what, I'm going to sign up here for a monthly donation. The amount was $800, and then go next. I'm going to fill this, but it'll change it to Melissa. So that's got her details. We go next. That brings up the final checkout form. And what I do here is I put in the name, the card number, 25, and this is obviously not a real card number because it's a test card number. Now that will process that transaction. So if I go back into Salesforce, and I think most people are familiar with our today's transactions, we can see the transaction has come in here, it's still processing, and if I do a refresh here, we can see that that's gone all the way through to the matching complete. If I drill into the contact here, what you can see here is that we've added some more record, in the record section, we've got a link to a gift commitment, because remember this was a recurring donation. If this wasn't a recurring donation, we'd only see the gift transaction. So that's created all of those details and then linked it back to our payment transaction record. Okay, we can see here that we've got Melissa's contact record, I think. So what you'll notice here is when I clicked into contact this time, see how it's linked into person account? So remember, the contact and account get merged together to create a new object called person account. Okay, so that's where all those details have come here. As you'd be familiar with our online forms previously, all the matching, deduplication, etc. Works here. Now related to Melissa's, I can see that the gift commitment, and I can see the gift transaction. Okay, now if I click into the say the gift transaction, you can see it's obviously linked to the donor. We can see that it's linked to a gift commitment schedule and gift commitment and gift commitment schedule. You can see it's also linked to an outreach source code, and it's linked to that campaign, the Gift of Learning. So all of this happens through that integration and the API. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is from the gift transaction, I'll go into the gift commitment schedule. So you can see the campaign here. We can see the, Melissa's gift commitment. What we can also, whoops, I went to I went to the wrong one there. I went to the schedule. So what you have here is a gift commitment, is what I meant to go into. So you have the gift commitment, and then you can see the schedule related to this. So these are all the upcoming payments that are related to that. And we can see, because I said monthly, it's going to be, monthly from that particular date. Okay. So that all happened all as part of that, Payments2us integration with a non-profit cloud. You can see how it's creating and maintaining all those pieces of information. What I'm going to do is go back to that payment transaction and just point out a couple other things that happened here behind the scenes as well. So this was the transaction that came in from the website just now when Melissa made the donation. First thing is we have a pick list field on here called outreach source code. So you could have it so people could choose where they wanted that to go to, but more likely what you want to do there is have a way of populating that or maintaining that. That's what's used to link it to the outreach source code and the campaign inside NonProfit Cloud. So you can use flows or whatever it is that you need to use to populate that, or you can drive it from a default as what I did. One of the other things that I did here is I added a new pick list field here. Again, you could populate this however you like. It could be in a custom field that you added to the donation form. It could be through flows, or what I've just done in this particular case is defaulted it. So favorite animal is not something that gets delivered with us out of the box. And you can see I've got kangaroo here. But the interesting thing here is when I go to the gift commitment and click into here, I can see that it's also populated a field with the same name that exists on that object. So this should also work with gift commitments and gift transactions, and I'd have to just check. I think those are the two that we're populating custom fields from and to. Oh. Couple of other things that we have done. Now you might remember, so those that are familiar with our transact payment module, when we're working with person accounts, previously this was working with just contacts or accounts, and with the release that's currently in development and due to come out very, very shortly, this now works with person accounts as well. So what you can see here is it's defaulted in, the person account name. It's got the first name, last name. It's got mobile and email and things like that. If you were to run this today, with person accounts, with Payments2us, you'd probably find that those fields are actually not being filled in properly, and you have to manually key them in. But now it's all defaulting in nicely as it should, because I'm on Melissa's account. Obviously, if I was on the home page or another page, we can look up the contacts as per normal. But just to take a $100 donation for Melissa from here, I can just go like that and process, and that would take that payment. And I see it's created a payment transaction, and if NonProfit Cloud's going to let me, or sorry, Salesforce just doing a refresh, and that will in a couple of moments come up as another transaction against here as well. Okay. The same is also true for those that are familiar with the batch entry side of Salesforce as well. We've made some updates there to work with our person accounts as well. So batch entry is our rapid entry of donations. We kind of, it's designed for end of year tax appeals or even Christmas appeals, where you scan like a barcode to quickly get the donor's details and kind of save a new to rapidly enter. Okay, I'm just a little bit conscious, making sure that I keep things on to time. That was certainly a very quick overview, and this is something that we're very excited about, and we're looking forward to getting a number of customers up and running using this new version hooked into NonProfit Cloud. One other thing I was going to point out, a key thing here is on the merchant facility is the matching method is automatically picked as NonProfit Cloud for those that are familiar with the matching method, and that kind of determines how now it works with the NonProfit Cloud. Okay, I've been talking, only got 1 minute left. Vish, was there any questions?
Yeah, we do have one question from Craig. In what way is the set of Payments2us payment transaction object not doubling up in terms of gifts and all?
So our file has been used as a intermediary transaction file. We've got a lot of functionality built around that with the import files and things like that. So I would say that the major difference is our file is all transactions, kind of whether they're successful or not. The gift transaction is only those that are successfully processed. So if somebody attempted 5 times to donate online, then you would end up with 5 transactions, or if you did 5 attempts at doing a recurring payment process and they all failed, you'd be using that for a complete list of charge attempts, whereas the gift transaction is used for that completed transaction. So if you run a report, you're not going to get all of those non-banked type transactions. So,
yeah, thanks for that. Does anyone have any other questions?
okay, then.
Yep. I think we're all good.
Okay, then the last thing there is if we do value people's feedback, and if you could take a couple of minutes to go to the App Exchange, we would very much appreciate a review. They help us to bring these webinars to you. They also help us to enhance the product, and hopefully bring more to you at the end of the day. They mean a lot to us anyway, so if you could do that, it'd be very much appreciated. Apart from that,
yeah,
I think we're all done.
And also we'll be sharing the recording later in our Trailblaze group. So if anyone wants to revisit, you should be able to do that.
Okay, cool. And then just finally, there is some documentation on our help guide and user guides on the NonProfit Cloud as well. Okay, thank you. Have a good afternoon. All the best.